sort of gives you a super high quality vintage lens look. Hey, my name is Thomas and today I've got this for you, the Sirui 33mm f1.2. It's part of a series of 5 f1.2 lenses for your APS-C cameras with autofocus. Maybe you know them already. So I'm super thrilled to try out this lens. Let's have a go. So Sirui sent this lens to me, so I can do this review for you. And also there is a promotion currently going on, so you can buy these lenses at a discount. So check in the description below, there is a promo code and then you get some % off and it's a lower price for you. As long as the promotion is running at the end of 2024, there will be the code in the description. When the code is gone, you're watching the video at a later time, then there's no promotion anymore. I'm sorry. So Sirui makes a series of 5 lenses f1.2. They're all for the APS-C cameras, Sony, Fuji and some others. 16mm, 23mm, 33 and a 56 and a 77 telephoto lens for portraits, for example. There is no other manufacturer that gives you this broad selection of 1.2 glass for your APS-C cameras. And especially when you're shooting Sony, there is only the Sirui f1.2 and the Viltrox 27 and 75 f1.2. All the other options for Sony from Sigma and the other manufacturers, they're all f1.4. And you know, sometimes speed matters and half an f-stop is a real difference. So that's the specialty about the Sirui lenses. And also they're pretty affordable. They're all below 400 euros or dollars. And yeah, with promotion you get them even for less. These lenses, Sirui Sniper series with autofocus, full electronic contacts, they come in 3 different flavors. This is the white version. There is also a silver and a black version. Go see yourself, I put in some pictures here now. Apart from that, they're all basically the same. They have a very nice mechanical construction. This part here is made from metal, it seems to me. This I would say is plastic, which is perfectly okay. Very smooth focus ring. Of course, it's focused by wire. Works very well, I have to say. And here you have your front part with a bayonet style lens hood like this. Also painted in white. And they come with a snap-on lens hood. Inside, what's interesting is, at least the 33, it has a concave front lens element. I always like that. Not every lens has it. Most lenses have a convex one. So that's kind of cool. All these lenses look basically the same. It doesn't matter if you have the 33 or any of the other focal length versions. They all have the same size, the same barrel design, just a different script here. And here you see, this is the Sony version. Shooting on the A6700. Autofocus is very snappy on the Sony. I can't tell you how it works on a Fuji. Should be okay, but Fuji is never the same quality of autofocus, especially in video, as a Sony. In the Sony, it works pretty smooth. I think a real Sony lens will be a little bit faster, but this works very well. We don't have a history yet of firmware updates. They are possible, but we have to see how all these small manufacturers do it when it's really needed. When in 2-3 years Sony comes out with new cameras and they change anything in the protocol and they need to update the lenses, we have to see how they do it. But so far, works very well. Overall, I really love the handling of this lens, and I also love how well it is made. It really feels nice in your hand. Very well made. There's only two small things you have to keep in mind, and they both have to do with the cost maybe. Number one, it's not weather sealed. Most of the Chinese manufacturers don't do that yet. And number two, it doesn't have an aperturing, and that I find a little bit sad. I really prefer a manual aperturing also on the Sony cameras, not only on Fuji. This lens doesn't have it. So, but that's everything. All the rest is really well made, and yeah, I enjoy using the lens a lot, I have to say. So I got this lens some weeks ago from Zirui, as I told you before, and I went on holiday with it. We traveled through the south of Europe, so I'm going to show you a lot of sample photos from that trip. I also used it for 2 paid shootings. I can't show you those because the customers don't want that, but it also worked very well in that environment. This is a 33mm lens on APC. It means it's an exact 50mm equivalent on full frame, and f1.2 is the equivalent of f1.8 on full frame. Doesn't sound so much, but in APC country, this is really fast, and you got a lot of background blur. So in terms of bokeh, I find this lens very nice. Gives a very smooth bokeh even. It still has a little bit of characteristic on it, which I like a lot. It doesn't look too bland, but it's certainly not a swirly bokeh or anything fancy. It's really nice. In terms of sharpness, we will see this lens is not so good at open aperture, but that's part of the concept, I guess. These things were designed for video in mind, and a lot of filmmakers like if a lens has a more, I don't know, natural look, not too overcorrected. It performs more like a vintage lens in this regard, but it sharpens up very quickly. So at f1.4 even it's already a bit sharper, and f2 it's again sharper, and f2.8 it's already pretty sharp even in the 4 corners. So overall I find this lens actually pretty sharp, but I'm used to vintage glass, so keep that in mind. Here I took 2 pictures and focused on a different part in the picture, and as you see even in the second picture where I focus pretty far to the side, it looks plenty sharp even at open aperture. So in many real-world situations I think sharpness of this lens even at open aperture is very good actually. Then we've got vignetting. There is nothing to talk about. It's really good because even at f1.2 it's not really strong, and basically at f2 you already don't see it at all. And distortion, it's the same thing. I never noticed any distortion. This is an autofocus lens with electronic contacts, so maybe it's just digitally corrected, but anyhow, it works very well in this regard. At very open apertures, you see a lot of color errors in the bokeh in front of the focal plane and behind it. In the actual focal plane, it's actually not so bad even at f1.2. I've seen much worse, looking at the Viltrox f1.4, for example. But in the bokeh, you see a lot of color fringing going on. That's the price you pay for a not perfectly corrected super fast lens, but even much more expensive lenses can struggle there as well. So it depends on the motive, especially in low light situations. I never really find it an issue, because in low light situations you have so many weird colors going on anyway that this hardly is an effect at all. These lenses have a 9-bladed aperture that makes for 18 pointed sun stars. It's not the perfect lens for sun stars. That's not what it was designed for. This is not primarily for landscape or night shots. This is made for portraits, and there this aperture is very, very nice because it looks very rounded even when you stop down a little bit to 2 or 2.8. And you don't only stop down because of the lens quality. It's not necessary, especially in portraits. This is very sharp, but you do it sometimes to get a little bit of depth of field in your faces. You don't always want to shoot at f1.2. So there the rounded aperture blades are very, very nice. When you stop down to 8 or 11, you get some sun stars and they look decent. They look nice. Have a look for yourself at the night shots. I still think there would be lenses that can do it even better. Most of them would be manual focus, by the way. Let's try close focus. I don't know the number, I have to admit. This is too close. No, it's not. Somewhere here. How far is that? 40 centimeters, 45, something like that. Decent, if you ask me. It could be 30, that would be even nicer, but 45 is very nice already. This lens is pretty large. If you ask me for an everyday walk-around lens, you want maybe something more compact. Having said that, I did use it on my holiday and travel, and I was okay with the size. The Sony cameras are not so super small anyway. If you're shooting a Fuji X-T5, for example, it maybe also still works very well. Lens is about 400 grams. It's not nothing, but still it's maybe worth it. If you travel, especially in the evenings, and you need the added speed, it might be worth it, and it's not too heavy, so that I like. One thing I noticed, the Sonys can't shoot at faster than 1/4000th of a second, and if you're shooting an f1.2 lens in sunlight like now, it's just doesn't work. So you need an ND filter. If you're shooting on Fuji, they can do 32,000ths of a second with electronic shutter. You don't have any problem, but the Sony can't do it. So get an ND filter. There has been quite a few reviews already about these Sirui lenses. They are on the market for about a year and a half or something, I think, by now, end of 2024. And they're a bit mixed. Some people complain a bit about the sharpness at open aperture. Others are very, very happy. I really think it has to do with what you're using the lens for. If you're looking for optical perfection, it's not made for you. If you want a more, the so-called cinematic look, something that is a bit more natural, that maybe shows a little bit of optical flaws to maybe make your image even more interesting, then these lenses are fantastic. They're not overly corrected at open aperture, but that's a matter of taste, and that is why I show you so many sample shots. Having said that, look at the crops at f1.2. I also think it's not even that unsharp at that aperture, but there might be situations, very demanding situations, where you might look for even more optical performance at open aperture, but then frankly you have to pay much more than that. So that's also an issue. Time for the verdict. So as you can see in this video, I had a lot of fun using this lens, and I show you a lot of sample photos. I do like the optics of these lenses. They are not super perfect, but still plenty sharp at open aperture. This is much sharper than most vintage high quality 50mm lenses that you come across from the 60s and 70s, and that is what I like the most. It sort of gives you a super high quality vintage lens look, combined with modern day autofocus performance, smooth and silent. So I really enjoy this, and I can see why a lot of filmmakers like these lenses, but I also love it for photography. It gives beautiful images, nice bokeh. There's a lot to like about this lens, and also mechanical construction is good. I would prefer if they had weather sealing and a focal and a aperturing, but you can't have it all, I get it. So very well made from Sirui. There is 5 lenses in the series. I don't know how the others perform. Most people say that the longer focal lengths will be sharper and the wider ones maybe not, but I don't know. I only tried this 33, and from my side, highly recommended for this price point. If you're shooting Fuji, you maybe have a little bit more options than other f1.4 lenses, but especially for Sony, I think it's almost a no-brainer if you're serious about your APS-C system. That's it for today, and I hope you liked this video, found it interesting. If you've got any questions or comments, write something in the comment section below. Again, check out if there's still a promo code for you if you want to buy one of these lenses from Sirui. Hope you have a great time, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.